Good morning, family. Welcome to Morning Delight. Today's Thursday, July 20th. Let's begin by greeting our Heavenly Parent and true parents. Chanjian, Chang Pumalamge, Pyongne. Paro. Now for our family pledge, let's welcome Pastor Milhan Stevens.
가정맹세 1. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본향 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 천상 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 중심, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과皇족권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조 이상인 천주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님의 대신 가정으로서 천운을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본연의 혈통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 자녀급 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 자녀급 시대를 맞이하여 절대 신앙, 절대 사랑, 절대 복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상 천국과 천상 천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Thank you, Pastor Milhan. Now for our opening prayer, I'd like to please invite Samsung Takuno. Samsung, can you please pray for us today? Unmute. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, Samsung. Good morning.
So you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. It was a little strange, but thank you. Pray. Dear Divine God, our Heavenly Parents, good morning. 20th of July, 2023. We are so grateful that we have a communication with you and with our brothers and sisters around the world. And Father, we have been searching you and looking you throughout history. But you have been looking and searching one man and one woman all throughout this history. This is our aching heart, Chaksalan. But Father, our communication, Father, must complete this time. We have a true parents on us, and true mother is center working together, bringing your original ideal kingdom on earth. But Father, we are so limited. But Father, with our communication and grow ourselves and maturing is our daily life. Father, you gave us this 8 family pledge that we practicing in daily life. But only way when we grow, when we reach this principle, it can be your dwelling place must be appear on earth. Father, we so grateful that we can have this hundok time in every morning, and our pastor, his heart to explain where we are and how we grow. Father, please be with us today, this morning, and all our community can grow together as a model of your community, model of your kingdom. Manhattan, New York is a really melting pot. Could be a big hope for the world of peace. So please help us to grow, each one of us, and express our heart for the world. And you have been with us, surely. And we can really encourage through mother and through parents, and this movement can be a champion for your original kingdom. Thank you, you've given us this morning and gathering here together. Pray report, Nemo, everyone with you, and my name, Samson Tokuno, as present family. Adieu.
Adieu. Thank you, Samsung.
Thank you.
Is Keiko-san with you? Is Keiko-san with you today?
No, she'll be here soon.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's take a few minutes to share our gratitudes, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Beryl Green, we lost you. I don't know what happened. Would you like to share with us? We didn't lose you completely.
Good morning. Okay, I don't know what happened either. So anyway, I just want to say I'm grateful to God and to parents to wake up this beautiful morning and to be with my brothers and sisters, to be with you, Pastor Milan, and all our brothers and sisters right here, right now. You know, I believe in this age and time. Every day is a day that is valuable, and we have to be doing whatever it is to advance the providence. We had a meeting, I'm sure my son and my husband spoke about it, with Reverend Stevens, and we are also we met the Women's Federation on Tuesday. Is the International Women's Federation for World Peace and the UN. And they had a meeting at 4 West 43rd Street. I was able to make it there. And thanks to you, because she helped me to come back home. But, I'm grateful. Pastor Stephen helped me to get there, and Yumiko helped me home. But what was interesting is that I met quite a few people who wanted to know about the Caribbean Ministry and the Women's Federation brochure and things I brought there. People took it. People want to know. So I did a good networking with those people, and hopefully they're really willing and interested in what we're doing. And so for me, that is good, because they like you meeting the right people. So that step forward is very good. So I'm giving God thanks I was able to even do that. I feel so different after Las Vegas. I don't have to wait and depend on someone to get me out. I feel like I can just go out now because I'm moving stronger and everything. So I'm giving God thanks for that workshop in Las Vegas. And for spiritually and physically, it really has helped me to move. So thank you.
That's great, Beryl. Thanks. Really great. Thank you. Okay, brothers and sisters, now it's time for our Godable reading. We're reading from the Mother of Peace, our True Mother's Memoir, and being led by Pastor Milhan.
Thank you, Mama Green. I'm also very excited about Caribbean Ministry. We have a lot of amazing projects that are ahead. Forward to being a part of that. Oh gosh, mission. Let's begin.
Welcome to Mother of Peace, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. A memoir by Hak Jahan Moon, a production of the Washington Times Global Media Group, narrated by Allison Hiroto. In early 1981, when my husband and I heard that the Washington Star, the conservative voice in Washington, D.C., was closing down, we were concerned. There were two well-established newspapers in that city, the Washington Star and the Washington Post. The Washington Star, which had been in operation for over 130 years, had run into financial difficulties. Soon, there would be only one newspaper in the most politically powerful city of the United States, and that newspaper, the Washington Post, was left-leaning in its editorial stance. There was a need for a newspaper in Washington that would protect faith, freedom, and family values, and no American conservatives were willing to step into the breach. When my husband and I decided to take this on, people trying to be prudent and wise told us again and again that it would be difficult to publish a new newspaper in the capital of the United States. We had never shied away from a task because it was difficult, and we didn't then. On May 17th, 1982, after a great deal of effort to find a building and printing presses and hire competent, dedicated staff, the first issue of the Washington Times was published. Opponents said that the Washington Times would be a propaganda instrument for the Unification Church, but such words reflected prejudice. It is difficult these days to run a newspaper at a profit. The Washington Times lost money from the outset, yet its absence would leave no conservative newspaper in the U.S. Capitol. It would mean the newspaper that championed faith and family would have disappeared. Seeing the financial spreadsheets, people wondered, how long until they closed down? Nonetheless, the more they doubted us, the greater was my husband's and my faith, and the greater was the commitment of the Washington Times staff. Together with them, we resolutely defended democracy while advocating family values, morality, and the role of women. As a result, the newspaper's popularity grew. Every year the paper did better, and now, in the age of the Internet, it is one of the most influential newspapers in the United States. At a banquet to commemorate the 15th anniversary of the newspaper's founding, we received congratulatory messages from well-known leaders worldwide. Former U.S. President Ronald Reagan let people know that we played a key role in defeating communism when he said of the newspaper, "Like me, you arrived in Washington at the beginning of the most momentous decade of the century. Together we rolled up our sleeves and got to work. And, oh yes, we won the Cold War." Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher of the United Kingdom also expressed her gratitude. She sent greetings saying, "In difficult times, even more than in easy ones, the voice of conservatism must make itself heard in the media. It isn't always easy, but of this we can be sure. While the Washington Times is alive and well, conservative views will never be drowned out." The Washington Times is influential, yet it is not a newspaper appealing only to the elite. It represents all people and inspires citizens to live decent and healthy everyday lives. The Washington Times has established itself as a voice of truth for people all over the world. Justice after tears. In the 1990s, when the Chinese government initiated its Northeast Asia project to clarify historical facts and protect that area's stability, the Sege-Ilbo newspaper sent a correspondent to the cities of Dalian and Tandong to do research. The correspondent was eager to visit the site of the Lixian courthouse in Dalian, formerly a Japanese colonial court in that city, which the Japanese called Ryojun. Yet the courthouse, where a number of Korean patriots had been unjustly tried, was nowhere to be found. The Chinese government had long since sold the building. My husband and I heard this report with heavy hearts. It pained Koreans to hear how the historical footprints of our heroes and heroines of the independence movement, who had risked their lives for Korea's freedom, were gradually disappearing. We decided to buy the building. To us, the Lixian courthouse is priceless. It represents the suffering of the Korean people in modern history and the legacy of their patriotic spirit. Our viewpoint, shared by many Koreans, was that such a historic site should not have fallen into indifferent hands. In the end, after negotiating with the owner, the Sege-Ilbo Corporation bought the building and restored the Lixin courthouse as a museum. They invited experts to visit the site, and after conducting thorough research of old documents, they recreated the original courtroom. The Lixin courthouse site is now a must-see historic landmark for freedom for young people from China and Korea and others who visit Dalian. As this was a project benefiting all of Korea, we invited Korean citizens to contribute money. In 1993, through the Sege-Ilbo Corporation, we founded the Yosun Patriotic Martyrs Memorial Foundation Corporation. Besides gathering historical stories about the bravery, determination, and sacrifice of those who fought for Korea's independence, the foundation also works for peace in Northeast Asia. Historically, relations between neighboring countries in Northeast Asia have been complicated. Creating peace is like unraveling a ball of tangled yarn. It is difficult to find where to begin. But nothing will be accomplished by sitting with arms crossed. When the Sege Times Corporation reconstructed the Lishin courthouse, it did so to capture the anguish of the past age and enable visitors to experience the history of the Korean people overcoming a national crisis. It also points to the importance of creating peace within and among nations. As well as launching newspapers in Japan and the United States, our movement launched Tiempos del Mundo in Latin America and the Middle East Times in Istanbul. But it was only in 1989 that the Korean government instituted the freedom of the press that allowed us to launch the Sege-Ilbo newspaper in Seoul. Since a religious movement founded the newspaper, we naturally faced opposition. As in the United States and Japan, mockery circulated. Just watch it become a mouthpiece promoting the Unification Church, people said. It'll be nothing but a religious tract. The haughtiest voices predicted, it'll stop printing before the year is out. But our determination to produce a professional news source that could serve Korea by providing fair and unbiased news and opinion was unwavering. On February 1st, 1989, the presses started up and 1.2 million copies of the first edition of Sege-Ilbo came rolling out. We held fast to the creed that the news media must be the voice of conscience and of the truth. This conviction has remained steadfast for more than 30 years. Our efforts garnered more than just verbal criticism. After Sege-Ilbo exposed the Korean ruling party's corruption, innocent and unrelated enterprises we had founded were suddenly subjected to overbearing tax investigations that drove some into bankruptcy. The government targeted companies such as Dong-Il Industries, which produced essential machine parts, and Dongyang Agricultural Machinery, which manufactured specialized farming equipment, and forced them to shut down. Various powerful interests demanded that we fire the newspaper's chief editor. We did not surrender to threats or enticements. Instead, we raised the banner of social justice and virtue. Over time, with steadfast publishing of valuable news and opinion, Sege-Ilbo has prevailed. When my husband and I conceived of Sege-Ilbo, we knew it was being born into the world at a turbulent time. Though it has stood alone as a pine tree in an empty field, Sege-Ilbo has consistently defended justice while exposing fraud, corruption, and other social ills. The newspaper caters to no political ideology or religious group. Its editors and reporters are exemplary professionals, investing their blood, sweat, and tears for the citizens of Korea and of the world.
Thank you for listening to Godable.
Thank you, the God and True Parents, for these words today. The theme that I could see today was how our movement has, I should say, True Parents have given us a lens to view the political world that is the most truthful. Of course, how to put that in practice and make it profitable, that's always a challenge. And so forgive me, I do have some, the Washington Times is doing their best. Of course, they provide the right wing to the left wing, mainstream media. And you're seeing now YouTubers are getting more conservative and getting plenty of views for that. But in general, I just see that true parents have provided a good political point of view, and I'm so grateful because, I'm out here witnessing Columbia University, and I don't feel stuck or confused or trapped in all the politics, and instead I feel like I just am above it all. I kind of see from a headwind point of view, how this all relates to God's providence, as opposed to how does this relate to some guy getting rich somewhere. So yeah, that's my gratitude, is that true parents have always held on to God's perspective on everything. And so it's good. It's good for us to be starting newspapers and different ministries, if you will. So this newspaper that championed faith and family, and that's one of the things I love most about the Washington Times, is that they're very transparent about that. I think it's a faith, family, and freedom. Those 3 F's. It's also 3 of the 5 F's that I have for my Chunoguk, my personal Chunoguk. So it's faith, family, freedom, but I added fun and fearlessness. So those are my 5 F's. That those are the kind of my values that I look at. And the Washington Times is great. Yeah, I'm glad. I'll be honest, I don't read it that much. I kind of know what to expect when I read it. But it is our newspaper, and Mother does have influence, and that's what we want. So Mother is talking about buying this Celestian courthouse. I don't know the ins and outs of this so much. Maybe some of you do. But this line struck me. Such a historic site should not have fallen into indifferent hands. Yeah, that's kind of I think a lot of us feel like that towards our own properties. And but what I like is that at least it should fall into the hands of somebody who appreciate it and value what's there. And again, because true parents have such a godly, providential point of view, that I can trust that they have the right idea of how it should be used. And hopefully I can inherit such a perspective so that whatever assets that we inherit or we get we can help it serve its purpose, make its offering. And when I was pastoring in Maryland, headquarters was trying to sell the Maryland Carp Center. And some of the members were trying to get me to buy that house. But before I did that, I'm like, okay, hold on a second. The last thing I want is to have some asset that just make mismanaging even worse. But I went there. I spent 3 years there. I lived there during college years. I went there and prayed, and I felt God tell me, the purpose of this house is really student housing. It's not necessarily a church center. And so immediately I took that revelation and I reached out to members and said, hey, can anyone buy this place and turn it into a real estate for students? And a couple of members did. They co-bought it and fixed it up. They fixed it up like to a T. Even like the foundation was cracked, and they fixed that too. So they spent a lot of money, but they made a lot of money too. They had a lot of Chinese students coming from China going to University of Maryland, and they paid top dollar, no problem. So that was, and I felt like, and they said you could use this whenever you want. We didn't really use it though, which was interesting. But in other words, what I'm saying is, when you take God's point of view, you can find the true purpose of each building or each place. It's always important to consult God in that. Let's see. It also points to the importance of creating peace within and among nations. Yes. So it's often people have a very partial or limited understanding of something's purpose. Like for example, like let's just take Black Lives Matter, for example. So they found a need, and there was a need to address this racial issue, but they didn't use that power to make peace. Instead, they used it to make a bigger organization, which doesn't really solve the problem. But they identified the problem, and they were able to, which was important. But did it lead to peace? Frankly, every organization in the world should have for world peace at the end of it. You know what I mean? If for any organization that doesn't have the purpose to ultimately lead to world peace, it's just not helping, and it's not steering in that direction. So I'm so glad that whatever true parents do, its ultimate purpose is to bring peace to the world. And in so doing, it has eternal value, and it has, sorry, I'm speaking this way, so hopefully it makes sense to you. But this is applied in the same way here. So that courthouse could have been said, oh yeah, how Japan's so evil, and they occupied the Korea, and these heroes, reversed all that. Yay, hooray, go Korea. But that's not the purpose. That's part of it. But the complete purpose is, let's make peace in the world. Let's improve our relations and prevent this from happening again. A religious movement found in the newspaper. So it's so funny how these other the critics were saying, oh yeah, they're just gonna mouthpiece propaganda, and look what they're doing. You look at the other newspapers, which they don't even understand they are a religion, but they're just promoting their own ideology through their newspapers, making their own narratives. So it's funny. It's like, well, who would you trust more? An owner that is religious, that has at least they're transparent in their values and their and where they value honesty and trust, love, as opposed to some other corporation throwing out their own ideology and their own narratives, and their main mission is profit. So, I mean, who are you going to trust more? I'm going to trust, the newspaper that has those kind of values, true values. So it's just funny how like the purpose of true journalism is just reporting the news. So I would trust a church more than hopefully I would trust, in general, I would trust an organization that has values and honesty and trust, as opposed to just profit. So just saying. Okay, thank you all. Hope you enjoyed my reflection.
Thank you, Pastor Milne. Okay, family, let's take a few minutes to share our reflections, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Reverend Green, would you like to share with us your reflection?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Seidel. Nobody can deny the incredible, foundation or investment that our movement has made, in the world of media. Can you imagine what Father and Mother has done for the sake of the world? We founded the Washington Times, the Seige Ilbo, the Sekai Nippo in Japan, and the Middle East Peace. All these newspapers have been founded by our true parents. And my thinking is that if you plant a seed, there must come a time of harvest when we can see the fruit of what was invested being realized. But for example, when we take a look at America, the conservative view that the Washington Times provides, it seems as if the people did not catch on to it, and rather we see secularism, being multiplied and dominating, the media. So I think that, that great investment that, Father and Mother has made with the Washington Times, it did win a major battle in the sense that it helped to bring about the defeat of atheistic communism. But I think it should serve the people in a way that we see that many people would be attracted to the values of family values and try to live an altruistic lifestyle. But that is yet to be seen. So I'm just wondering what more we could have done to ensure that the promotion of the conservative view, not from the political standpoint or but from the viewpoint of people who are conscientious people who are reading the newspaper. They never come to us and join with us, even though they realize what we're doing, but it seems as if they're afraid to join with us because we are a religious movement. So that is something that really, bothers me. And I really want to understand, what more could we have done to win, the people to our side. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Green. In 1978, around that time, I was living at 43rd Street, working in the kitchen. And that's when the News World came out in New York. And all the brothers and sisters that were living in 43rd Street had to go out on the street on 42nd Street and Times Square and sell the News World. We used to sell it for 10 cents. So I would stand on the corner, News World, 10 cents, News World, 10 cents. And then about 8 years later, I ended up working at the News World, the New York City Tribune and Noticias del Mundo. I'm sorry, they went out of business, but it was good while it lasted. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let's begin our 7 minutes use in prayer. Shija, let's begin.
Good morning, Heavenly Parent. Good morning to parents.
Thank you so much
Parents
for
and parents. We're so grateful
devotion
that we can gather here to pray every morning.
Washington
The
Times.
parent
We're
mother,
Heavenly
our
Mother,
true parent,
God, thank you so much.
shows what we
started
have
so many
movement
newspapers in Japan, Korea, here in America,
from a literacy education Korea,
part of the world.
promoting Korean principles,
Now that
Korean marble
though the human activity
and
do a lot of mass
a little angels the
for the
children
media this time.
spiritual
Children,
walk,
children
and
transparent. We pray
That's
for
so
the
independence
important.
ballet, the Julia art and
Keeper of the entire world for a
and
long time.
culture
Proven
and
herself.
the media, Heavenly
God,
Father.
we
We are
cannot underestimate
about
the importance of
pray,
politics and how
Heavenly Father, we
shape
see
the
that
decisions that are
every
made
Know that you gave
for three
family,
consecutive branches of
motives
government.
and the desires and also
Heavenly
maintenance
That
and
we can model
for work.
an ideal
We
community,
remember some
in a time
lead
that
with
we
saying
prayed
they
brought
good
people
intelligence, good hearts,
Heavenly Parents
world.
and
pray for
some not straight people
we pray
were
that
too greedy. We
it's a very serious time that we're in.
for the sake of a purpose of a building.
America's
But we
waning
couldn't
power in the
have
world.
such a people who are
So
dedicated
even
To ask
already,
ourselves,
who are already
reach
what
out
can we
in
do
the
about
world. In the
feminine.
case of
being in
Japan
New
and
York City?
Korea,
Like
so
that
so much
Heavenly
now
Parents, we
the
they were not getting
feminine
paid,
touch,
responsibility,
but they
the
were
Midas touch,
truly
but also
the
the
Midas
joy and
as
excitement
already achieved
touch.
and they were
that we
fighters and
can
they were
co-create a better world.
We need to
and not
understand
as
our
a source of
divinity and
life, but they
femininity.
wanted to
God.
contribute
We need to
to the
understand
world.
that the
Heavenly
feminine
Parents,
is
No,
divine.
in
it takes
American
a lot of
We must
newspapers
understand
anyway,
that
passion,
the
femininity.
newspaper was
Just as our
supported
passion
brothers
and
must
understanding
understand the
and
how we
feminine
got
and
here
and
and never
everything
masculine,
from them
The sacrifice.
and
to
all
truly
must
shows us
very terrible.
the how
must
difficult,
look
For
up to
us.
our Heavenly Parents.
how hard,
Show
how
that
We must
it's
look at
high
our
that
Heavenly
the
Father and our
quality
Heavenly
and the
Mother.
parent standard of
Look to the Mother
and
God and the
motivate them
Father
to
God,
process
as we
and
would
bear the fruits
so
and
that
how
we
much
can
the
grow as
maintenance and
children.
the
We can
development
grow as
just
ones who
done.
did
But
not have
truly
a mother and
grateful
father for long
that
understand
that we
mothers
know we have so many
obviously
areas
based on divinity.
to find our own
Now that we understand
subscribers
and we see
and
our
having
mother
not
strong,
Pray for
vibrant,
having a motivated true
and
parents
give women to
so
understand
be
that
able to
there
have
is
a
a
same
feminine side to God.
view,
There
same
is a
heart,
mother
same
God. There
heartbeat.
is a sister
Heavenly
God.
parents, we may knew
There's
and
an only begotten
may
God.
understood in our head,
I
but
think of that should be expressed
the
through
level of
agreement
sacrifice,
among us
of
sisters.
dedication, level
And I
of
think
love,
we have to agree on
needed
what
at
we
the
want
time
to
far greater than
understand
what
that
we
we
show
were
are
that
able to
mothers.
offer.
We all are mothers.
sacrifice
Whether we
In
have
is
to
not
that
for
or
naught.
not, we are mothers
history
to
of
somebody.
our dispensation,
Sorry, God.
truly
We
grateful
can
Grace.
see at this
Pray for
way
us.
that
really
mothers are
great as a
needed in the
now.
world
Contribute
And
to
there's
the
a
culture.
You're not promoting
because
religious
nobody
Students
knows
for
the
Harvard.
value of
This is a
motherhood.
place
You're not promoting
On
our
Mother's
community
Day,
work and
for the whole world right
everybody,
here.
everybody
all the
testify
time.
to motherhood.
Even at Columbia
Everybody
University here,
testify to the
day
love
one.
and peace.
Today, this morning,
I
We
know
want them
that
to
if
make it
we
wholesome. We want them to
can
be wholesome.
it
Want them
can be a
to see the
harvest,
love of
unite
mother and
with you,
father
parents at the
together.
time,
harvest
establish
of
a Chunchi
Want
one,
them to
love.
see the
and
love
make
of the
a
masculine,
holy
feminine
spiritual center.
of God. Because
You
we
will
can only
protect this
see
land.
one aspect of
Protect these
feminine
inhabitants.
love,
See
the
miracles.
masculine love,
They will
interact
know where they are.
Miracles of the
They will know
birth.
who they
the
are.
only way we
And the
see
exciting time that they're in.
parents
And they'll be
have a
swept up in the
Yes, your
Holy
God,
Spirit.
we have
All
our
kinds of
families
right
that
from
now.
the
have
place. It will,
when we relate
you will
sisters
reveal
and
your
brothers,
face to us.
Sing
real
home.
sisters and brothers. So
Father from
God,
heaven
let a
will
lot of
shine.
into the world.
Little crumbling
Smile will
around
come all
us,
over
and
us.
we seem almost helpless.
You will have
And we got
broken
to start
the
living
chains
A
and
movement
start being the
the
catalyst
cycle of the
to
past.
the
And
love, the
finally
catalyst to the male-female
it can be
break that
relationship.
harmonious
cycle.
We got
so
to
that
be
the
the
power of
owners
God can
American
of
work
the
civilization
male-female
will not
in
fall.
ways
relationship.
never
We
before.
can set it
And that we
by
will
our
take on to
example.
higher ground.
Oh God,
But because
passion,
And I pray for our
we don't
members here
have
that they
that
realize they're not members.
we don't have that
We're not
love,
passion, oh
members, but we're
God, the
Messiah.
passion to go out
integration
We're
and
blessed families. We are the
stand up.
hope
when we
of
choose
God
to.
Almighty. We are the hope of
Black and white,
6,000
yellow and
biblical
black,
years of
black, it
history.
doesn't make no
That
difference.
we are the
We
fruit
have
of
to learn
Pray,
to
oh
all
God,
respect each other.
of human history that's right here on this
Understand
call. And I
balance
pray
and
people
ways
wake
love
up
that we
and
want to
realize that.
go at this time.
here
You know that they are to
that we
be
stay
seriously, that their
faithful
time is so precious,
throughout.
God, we
Really
can
that
think
they will not
overcome within
allow anyone to
ourselves.
waste their time
have
anymore.
too much
God, we are in charge
to
now.
too
the
much
power of the
fear.
You are the
Holy
moral
Spirit.
authority.
Now we let
People
them
have
take the
to
rainbow.
Living
come to
inside
us
our
to learn
souls, oh God.
We're gonna take the
about your
rainbow
parents'
back.
word.
That you will
The
find
rainbow
That we are
residence
not
in our
belongs to
heart.
not on
everybody.
anybody,
Belongs to
Temple of the
but as
living
parents.
God.
And everyone will come
We
to
have
us.
a right
all
to
the
call out
rainbow.
to
They
you this
saw
And
morning.
no one
hope.
has any higher
They saw
authority than
hope.
you.
We're making an appeal
And
to
God,
you.
yes, we are
now they
humble
look at the
peacemakers.
rainbow and all they see is
God,
Focus
we're
on our
tigers.
city.
God,
LGBT
we are
Show us the way to
top of the
homosexuality,
spiritual food chain now.
blasphemy.
So I pray we can assume our position
Raise
right
up
there under true parents,
I lift up
as the apostles of our true parents. People will recognize us.
God, you hear all our prayers.
They're doing they're trying everything they can to support, be a part of what
defeat
we're
the
doing.
power of darkness
I pray for Mayor
and bring the
Adams,
light of truth into our world.
Mandros, Pastor Ramos, and you and
Yes,
be
Lord,
with
I
us.
pray.
Everything up with
Thank
our
you
name.
so
That we're not
much.
going anywhere. We're not stopping. We're not slowing down.
Protect our family.
Back
Make
down.
each one of us
Trust
Our
us.
Jesus,
just really learn how to love
And
you
pray for the
and
guests
love one
I
another.
met yesterday.
To make that 90-degree angle that Father and Mother Moon has taught us.
God, I pray they will have
Thank you, Lord.
dreams. They'll have a chance
Pray.
to know that this is the right path, them to study the divine principles
This is my name.
and open up new power that they didn't know they had, new joy, wellspring of love in their hearts that they didn't know they had. God, so we thank you.
God, you. Thank you, everyone, for your prayers. So before we go, do we have any announcements? Reverend Green, Milhan left you a message in the chat. You want to check that out?
Yes. So for this Sunday, like I said, I'll be emceeing, but I asked Dr. Elio Roman to preach. So he'll be preaching this Sunday. He'll be talking about the family pledge, and I know it will be great. And I'll have a little story to tell in his introduction. So this is family, so it should be great. I'm looking forward to it very much. So, yeah. He was delighted to have the opportunity. So, thank you.
Wow.
Dr. Seidel,
Yes.
I have a little song I'd like to share, just one verse.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
That's the one thing I missed the most about our previous Morning De-Lite was the music.
Please offer.
This song is a very simple song. Goes like this. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrow will all pass away, ere I forget all the joy that is mine today. I can't be contented with yesterday's glory. I can't live on promises, winter to spring. Today is my moment, and now is my glory. Who cares what tomorrow will bring? 'Cause today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrow will all pass away, ere I forget all the joy that is mine today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe you set a good precedent. Maybe, we can start doing that more. If time permitting, we can include people singing songs. I miss that so much. So thank you, Reverend Green. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
You hit the spot. You hit the spot, man.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you all have a
Thank
great day.
you.
God
Thank
bless
you for a
you.
great morning devotion. God bless. Bye-bye.